Welcome to the Post Up. This is your weekly NBA show coming at you from GoldBoys Sports Network, where three friends talk about everything going on in the association. I am Dylan coming at you on this beautiful Sunday night, and I'm joined by my good old boy, Dolan. How we doing on Post Up Sunday?
Happy Post Up Day. Very excited. This is our first episode featuring just two of us, as Michael's taking the first week off in Post Up history. He's sitting in the Outer Banks in North Carolina, where it smells like shit, and enjoying
That's
a
right.
vacation. So me and Dylan are going to hold it down this week, and we're going to have a good time.
That's right. He's living his best life. Sorry, I had a lisp there for a second. living his best life. He'd sent us a video about an hour ago of him taking a bath, watching the game. My man.
What an asshole.
I am Dylan. You can follow me on Twitter at Dillbon00. Go Celtics, right, Dolan?
No, not quite. And yeah, that's not looking so hot for you right now.
No.
It's quite funny to watch this game. So when you guys listen to this, obviously this will be tomorrow. But currently it is 9:45 p.m. We are in the third quarter of the Heat game, and Caleb Martin, who was arguably the greatest player of our generation, what felt like a week ago, it has 0 points in like 6 minutes. He had an illness, so he was questionable to even play, but he played. He's 6 minutes in. He has 0 points, and that was the guy that torched the Celtics. So,
Yeah.
Dylan, how you feeling about
I'll tell you
that
what.
Game 7 loss?
We, as the Post Up, have a lot of friends of the show. He is not one of them.
Caleb?
Get that guy. Caleb Martin is not one of the friends of the Post Up. Get him out of here. He is on the top of my list. I don't know what I did to deserve this, but
it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre because I went through a very similar thing after, it felt like Brown and Tatum hit every damn shot, every big shot in the Sixers series, and then to watch them against the Heat where they just suddenly couldn't hit the shots that I just watched them hit for 7 games. It's infuriating, I think, is a good word to say for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So last time we talked, it was right before Game 7. So just to cover that, Celtics lost, if you guys didn't see that headline. But it's okay. I'm still alive. And Dolan and I and Michael are all just chilling, enjoying the finals with no obligation.
There you
Nuggets.
Go. Yeah, it's pretty stress-free at this point.
Yeah.
I am kind of cheering for the Nuggets, although I don't really care. But I'm excited to see some fresh faces. Granted, Miami's been here just a few years ago, but I wouldn't be excited to kind of see the start of the next great, era, if you will, of a team. And not to say that the Nuggets will be that, but they can be that.
It's hard to say.
But I'm just excited to. We spent a lot of time in between 2010 and 2020, which is the same teams going to the finals year after year. And while that was an absolute blast, don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing that era. But it's also really nice to see a team. Obviously, Nuggets have never been here, much less won it. So it's cool to see them have a chance. And currently they're up 5 in the third quarter. So they could go up 2-0. We will find out here in next hour or so.
Yeah. Let's just continue talking on the finals. So Jokic balled out Game 1. Easy to say, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'm pretty comfortable saying that. Yes.
Yeah, and then the Heat. I think one thing, I shamefully did not watch the second half. I was just getting too mad watching the Heat suck when they balled out the entire Celtic series. So I just, it was kind of frustrating to watch. So I fell asleep right at the start at the halftime. But from what I saw, the Heat ended up trying to make it a game at the end. So them riding some momentum seems like it's at least keeping this game close. So
yeah.
And if they could take one at home, that's big because, one at Denver, that's big because, Heat have been balling on the road. So,
yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. The Heat came out and felt like it just punched Denver in the mouth, but Denver they never seem to get rattled or anything. They just keep playing their game, and they figured out they what feels like pretty easily overcame the deficit that they faced, and have taken the lead and haven't surrendered it back. It's now a 3-point game, which obviously anything can happen the rest of this way. But And they just look poised for the moment, even when I feel like Miami gave them their absolute best in like the
Mhm.
first quarter. And it just didn't really seem to even bother them that much. So I don't know. Just it's easy to say this in what in a 1-0 series, but just feels like the talent deficit is quite large. And Jimmy Butler is just not being aggressive. He took 14 shots last game, I believe,
You think
and
he's
he's
healthy?
nah, not really. I'm sure he's not. I mean, his numbers significantly declined after he got hurt. So no, I'd imagine he is not healthy. But
Yeah, I'd say so too. I mean, it's this team, the Heat team, has the least amount of talent out of the at least last few teams, like arguably the least amount of talent in the entire playoffs that made it, and they just been winning off of will. Eventually that's you think gotta wear off, right? Especially with the way the Nuggets have been playing. They've been playing as like the most talented team. So
yeah, yeah, for sure. It'll be if the Nuggets do end up pulling this out, it'll be. Uh, I mean, this shit was just memorable. I mean, this team is. It's hard to say because on paper they don't look that great, and then you look back in 2020 in the bubble, and a fairly similar team to what they have now made the finals. So it's just like I can't. There's no fluke in this, but
yeah, no,
when
it's
the season started, if you told me that the Heat were going to be in this, there's no way in hell I would have believed you. So shout out to
absolutely
the Heat, man. My goodness, I'm still in disbelief at what I've seen. Even if they were to go down, this is something I'll remember for a while.
is Tyler Hero going to make appearance in the finals? What do you think?
He's expected to play next game.
That's going to be interesting.
And
I'm
it's going to be interesting. I'm,
I
I'm
think
I'm very glad you brought that up. How would you handle this if you're Coach Spo?
I have I was thinking about that too. I think you got to like bring him off the bench for sure. I don't think you start him, and I think you put him in there with the bench lineup. Like when Jimmy's not in there, so let him initiate a little bit of offense because he is very good at it. He's good. Him and Bam have a really good pick and roll.
Yeah,
Um, so I think you just kind of keep it simple. Don't push him. Like give him 15 minutes, something like that. And he can, when their offense gets stagnant, he can initiate offense by himself, whether that be shooting crazy shots or, um, I mean, he shoots some contested shots and hits
yeah,
them.
he does.
And
He's just one of those guys. Almost feels like he prefers the hand in his face.
yeah, and then obviously he can dish it to Bam to get some easy looks too. So I'm interested to see how it looks, but you don't want to rely on his offense. At least is like my thing because you don't know what you're going to get out of him
Yeah,
after missing what has it been, a month,
yeah, I think so.
something like that. I don't remember the date. I don't know, when did the playoffs start? Beginning of May, April?
Yeah,
I don't know. Doesn't matter. Um,
yeah. He got hurt in what, game 2 of the first round, game 1 maybe even.
something like that. I
Man,
don't I
it's
don't
been so
remember.
long. That's crazy. It feels like just yesterday, but at the same time, it feels like so long ago. But
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
it's hard to. It's a hard situation for Spo. I mean, one of your best players gets healthy, you can't not put him in the game in the finals. But at the same time, they've come this far
Without
without
him.
him, and other guys
Yeah,
have stepped up, and guys are going to lose out their roles. And granted, down 2-0, I mean, I guess what do you have to lose? I mean, what a spark
yeah.
he could provide for this team.
If the
Um,
Heat pull this game out, I think they might have a decision to make to figure out how to play him more or less.
yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I'm not sure if they go down 2-0 here that they have the room to be like patient, I guess.
Hmm.
They can't really just wean him back into the game. I think
Yeah,
if they, they could be in big trouble. They might need to just start him and play him 36 minutes, 40 minutes. I don't know. It's gonna be really interesting. It's very tough to say what the right move is, but down 2-0, what do you have to lose? Go get one of your best players on the floor, and which is funny because a week ago I've been debating this for a while, and at first I was thinking I definitely wouldn't start him. Second, I was thinking I might not even play him, and then now, now that the possibility of being down 0-2 or 0-2 is here, then it starts to become a much better idea, a much more realistic idea that he just kind of goes out there and plays a lot of minutes and gets a lot of opportunity. So we'll
yes,
see. Game 3 expected to play.
yeah. It's hard not to get. I mean, he's second leading scorer on the team, 20 point scorer. Literally one man offense. So it's you definitely got to give him something,
Yeah,
especially if they go down 2-0. You're right, like you said.
for sure.
Um, what about right before transitioning onto something else. Right before game one of the finals, the commissioner came out and teased us about Ja. What was that about?
Dude, what in the world is that? That's the most confusing thing. It just left us to wonder. So, I mean, obviously, he's not going to say that unless this is going to be a pretty severe
It's got to be bad.
suspension.
It's got to be bad.
It's got to be bad. And they said it uncovered additional details, which your mind can wander 1,000 different directions with that. Who the hell knows what that means? I have no clue. So, um, uh, another thing I'm pretty excited about, if this series ends 4-0, I'll definitely go to sleep kind of excited to hear what the
For
hell
sure.
Silver is referencing here.
My question for you is, why do you think the commissioner teased us with it? Like, why not just like what was his point? Or then if you're going to tease us, why not just tell us? Like, why
Dude,
not announce it?
I have no clue because he did what he acted like he wanted to not do. If that makes any sense, like
Mhm.
he wanted to not distract these guys and then created a massive distraction. Weird stuff. So odd. I'm not really sure what to think of that, but I would, at this point, I would have to guess he's suspended at least half the season, if not more than that. So
Yeah, that's what I
we'll
was
see,
thinking
man.
too. Initially, I
It's
was
crazy.
yeah, initially I thought it was going to be like 30 game suspension max, but I mean the way the commissioner let it on definitely has us thinking otherwise. And if you're Memphis and he does have a significant suspension because Tyus Jones is a free agent, if I'm not mistaken, right?
He could be. I don't know that for a fact, but I'll take your word, and I could look it up kind of in the background while you're talking.
Yeah, I just think that it definitely affects your going into the season because I mean they're a legitimate contender with Ja playing is healthy. You think they need to
Absolutely.
be right there in the mix, and your best player misses. Even let's say he misses 3/4 of the season, it's like that's still massive. It's going to affect the standings, and it's pretty much like hard to be competitive for that long without the face of your franchise,
Yeah,
or at
for
least
sure.
used to be.
Yeah, he was definitely, I mean, unquestioned face of the franchise. Tyus Jones, however, is there for an additional year. He's there for the
Okay,
23-24 season, free agent the following year. So,
I was
uh,
mistaken on that.
big,
Well, that's
big
good.
on them, big on them to have that contract, bargain contract at this point. I mean, 2 seasons ago, or I guess a season ago, signing him 2 years, 26 or 27 million, like something like that. That's a hell of a contract, and Tyus will have his day. I'm sure he'll get a starting gig.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I think he's definitely one of the best backups, if not the best. And now he will very likely get a chance to start long term here for, well, maybe not long term, but you know what I mean. A very large portion of the season coming up. So, uh, I think, secretly Tyus has to be pretty fucking excited. He's got
For
to be
sure.
licking his chops because this is his contract year. And then the guy that plays in front of him just suspended him. He shot his own foot. He suspended himself with this video. So
Not
shout out
literally. He
Tyus
he
Jones.
plays with guns, but he didn't actually shoot himself in the foot. He didn't Plaxico Burress it. Okay.
Yeah. That's a good
Oh,
point. That's a good point. I got to be careful with words, but yeah, shout out Tyus Jones. That dude's about to get paid solely because John Moran can't put a gun away.
all right. Let's take even further. We don't have to go in super detail on this one, but I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Memphis was good without Ja. So let's say
Yes.
Ja's out majority of the season and their offense is running smoother. Tyus Jones is, I mean, he's a more of a true point guard than Ja. I would say so.
Yeah.
And he can spread the floor better than Ja can. So in today's NBA, that's big. If let's say they are still top four in the West without Ja and they're looking solid, Tyus Jones steps up, is with all of Jaws off the court stuff, when do you consider potentially moving on from him? Is this something that Memphis does, or you don't know?
I don't think that we're there just yet. He's still so young. He's obviously so good. And we've seen, I mean, many players, I kind of like giving Josh some shit because, it seems like such an easy thing to just prevent. But
Yeah,
many
so true.
players have done many worse things and teams have stuck by their side. So um, I don't, I think, if a very similar incident happened, if we'll see, but if it happens a third time, then I think, cutting him becomes like a serious possibility. But and until that, you could just quote unquote send him to therapy or make whatever bullshit excuse you want for supporting him, and that's fine. He's your guy. By all means, give him the support and keep him around. But Uh, yeah, I don't think we're quite there. He's too good for that. I think
Yeah.
we still and it seems so odd because he took ownership. It felt like he had interviews about this, and then when they lost, he was quick to blame himself and uh, almost seemed like he was making some form of stride and maturing and stuff like that. And then does the second video, which is awesome. Um, but yeah, I can't say we're there. What do you think about that though? You think they're close to cutting them?
I think there's a lot of variables in that. It's hard to say. I think it depends on how they look. If they have other play, because Dylan Brooks is like on the verge of being an all-star. So if, let's say, Dylan Brooks ends up not Dylan Brooks, I'm sorry, excuse me, Desmond Bain. My bad, my
I
bad.
thought I just thought you were kidding.
Sorry, I
Nice.
was picturing Desmond Bain. My bad. Desmond Bain is on the verge of like that star thing,
Yeah,
that line.
he's
So
very good.
he's
Second
good.
round
So
pick. Second
I
round pick.
think I think that if he emerges and him and Jaren Jackson's offense, obviously Jaren Jackson's the lead on defense and his offense stepped up. So I think if they're if Desmond Bain steps up and looks like he can be, because you gotta, like you said, me and you and maybe not you, but Michael and I definitely talked about it. So you gotta have a perimeter offensive player to be competitive in this league, in my opinion. You're not going to win with big men, except Jokic. He's an anomaly.
Yeah, he
I
must
think,
be.
but he still has Murray. Like, I mean, Jokic has been the MVP the last 2 years and hasn't won, and then Murray ends up balling out being great. He's never been an All Star, but he's been playing like one of the playoffs, and this is what's pushed him over the edge. So, I think that if Bane can step up and be, I like look it up. How many points did Bane average last year? This season?
22 or 23. I mean, it
That's
was it
solid.
was
That's
pretty
good.
good
That's right.
amount.
It's right on the verge. So I think if he can step up and push that up to 26, 27, with Tyus, Ty-
21.5.
yeah, yeah. So if he with more looks, you think with John not playing, Bane's going to get more looks? If
Yeah,
he,
yeah. I mean, he probably averaged 18-ish with Ja and probably 23, 24 without Ja. He does have the games where he does go missing. So,
he does,
it would be a huge responsibility to throw him out, expecting him to be the number one, every game of every season. But, if Ja doesn't give you a choice, Ja doesn't give you a choice. But,
absolutely.
I still think they stick with Ja.
Yeah, if I was a betting man, which I am not, want to make that very clear to everyone. um, but still do the post up parlay. We're going to win.
Always.
But I do believe that Ja will be there. It's like I said, he's still very good and he's still young. So it's like not keeping this guy would be unless the suspension is really bad and if they ever reveal what the more they uncovered it being really bad, then
Maybe.
we'll see what happens there. But
That could be a game changer technically, but man, that would be crazy. That would be absolutely insane.
absolutely. Alrighty, before um I move on because we're going to do a small draft preview and talk about some of the new coaches hired. Before we do that, Dylan, I've got a surprise for you. And all of our listeners have probably, if they listened to last week's podcast, been waiting on this. Last night, I watched Shooting Stars, the new LeBron James movie.
Really?
I did. You ready for my professional review?
Well, hold on. I sort of am, but at the same time, no
No spoilers.
spoilers.
No spoilers. So LeBron James, he's a basketball player.
Okay.
He's in the NBA. So that's how it ends.
Good place to talk about this guy then.
Yeah. No, I mean, it honestly was a pretty good movie. It was better than I thought. I went into watching it with little to no expectations, and it exceeded those expectations. So, um, I don't know how much of it is just theatrics or if that's fairly legitimate to what happened, but I did not know. Did you know LeBron James was suspended from playing basketball his senior year of high school?
No.
I did not know that. At least that's what happened to me. I looked it up, and he was. So he got. I don't really know if this is a spoiler or not, but potential spoiler for all your listeners. But uh, someone gave him like a signed jersey, and he wasn't supposed to take it. But he's 16 years old and didn't realize it, and it was he took a thing, and I'm just like that blew my mind because this grown man is out here trying to ruin this 16-year-old's life. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's fucking
But
absurd. No, but that's crazy. No, I actually did not know that, which is crazy to think about.
It
considering how
is.
much time I've wasted in my life thinking and studying and reading about the NBA. I never knew
Right?
that.
Yeah, that should be talked about more. Like the Cleveland Cavaliers, this guy hasn't played didn't play basketball his senior year, and he used the overall the overall first overall pick. Wow, first overall pick, first overall pick for this guy
There
who
it is.
hasn't played, and he's 17 years old when you draft him. Like that's absurd.
Yeah, I
Obviously, it
mean,
worked out. So good call, but
yeah, decent
except
call
when he
there.
except when he took his talent to South Beach and they burned his jerseys.
Yeah, except for that. But yeah, that's super interesting. I need to check it out. What is it on Netflix?
It's on Peacock.
Peacock. Okay, gotcha.
Peacock
You can
original.
sponsor us, by the way.
Yeah,
That
come on,
is an
Peacock.
option. You are allowed to do that.
But I would recommend it if you're a basketball fan. It was interesting, even if you're not. It was a pretty good movie. I was again, it was better than definitely better than I thought it was going to be.
Touche. I
So
will check it out soon.
your homework is to watch it this week, and then you give your review next week.
Okay,
All right,
I can get that done.
awesome. So on next week, I won't be here next week because it's my turn to take a beach trip, and I will be out next week. So you guys will be stuck with Michael and Dolan.
Yeah, I got a
Uh,
bunch of flaky ass people to do this show with. Everybody keeps dipping out on me, but you best believe I'm going to be here at least until a couple weekends from then when I probably take off. But
Dedication.
you bet your ass I'll be here. Yeah, I'm
That's right.
dedicated to this show. You guys are just in and out.
Yeah. All right. You want to talk about some big coaches being hired?
Yeah, man.
What?
Michael Willis actually looking like a smart guy, saying some real things.
Yeah, absolutely.
For once, and he shouted
Not
out Monty
being
to
ridiculous.
Detroit a while ago. So good on him. That's a great pickup. There's such a nice young core to build around in Detroit for him to coach, and I'm huge on Monty Williams, and I think I talked about it last week. But I'm a big Monty Williams guy. He was an assistant coach for the Sixers, and I was pleading for them to just make him the head coach. So big hire. What a terrific hire for Detroit. I've very little doubt that was the right move for them.
One thing that's interesting is he turned down an offer initially, right? And then they counteroffered. They were determined to get this guy.
Yeah,
They wanted him.
72 million fucking
That's absurd.
dollars. That is unbelievable. I never
Um,
thought I'd see the day. That's for a coach that just got fired like a couple weeks ago. He's like, yeah, here's $72 million. Like, well, I wasn't going to coach you guys, but now
and
can't say no to that.
no disrespect to Monty Williams, obviously, but he hasn't really done anything. He's coached some good teams, but that's it, right? I mean,
Yeah, I think when you just see clips of him, and obviously people in the NBA are actually around him, I think he just has a good presence, man. I
he
think I
does.
think he's just pretty damn clear he is a good coach. And watching the Phoenix series it definitely did seem like he struggled, but it seemed like the first time in his career to me, and I've been watching him for a while, but it seemed like the first time in his career that he seemed kind of stumped by a team. But who hasn't been stumped by this Nuggets team yet? But
True that.
and trying to make it work with two superstars plus your injured point guard and a bunch of bench players that aren't very good. He had a pretty tough job, I suppose. But I don't need to make too many excuses for him because we'll be hearing excuses when Detroit wins 19 games next year from Michael. So I'm going to stop making excuses for him, and we'll let Michael start to develop those.
Yeah, that'll be Michael's thing for sure. I mean, I think it's a good hire. It seems like a lot to pay somebody, like I said, who I mean, obviously his reputation is great, but he did just get fired at the same time. So
Yeah,
it's like that's interesting. But
quite.
that's what the Pistons do is hire fired coaches,
Yeah,
you know.
no doubt. But yeah,
But
and then you look over to Philly and Nick fucking Nurse, dude. I mean,
Nick Nurse, dude.
I'm thrilled about this. So
I like
so
Nurse.
obvious
Actually, I
upgrade
hate
over.
him. I hate
Oh,
Nick Nurse,
that's
but I
great.
think he's a good coach.
Then you'll like him even more in Philly, I'm sure.
Do you
Um,
remember in the bubble when he stood on the corner and Tatum tried to pass him the ball? I hate that guy. Do you remember that?
Not really.
They were playing the Raptors and it was in the playoffs and he was standing right on the baseline in the corner, like as a player almost. Right. And Tatum tries to pass it to him. And Tatum, I mean, dumb on Tatum to pass it to a coach, but why are you standing there, man? Come on.
Nice
You know
job,
what you're
Nick.
doing.
Sounds like a nice play drawn up for Nick.
Screw that guy. But I do
Well,
think
that's
he's a good
awesome.
coach.
Yeah, it's good
So
that you dislike him and then he comes to Philly, so that makes you feel even better about the hire. Makes me feel like we're on the right track. But um, some interesting talks have come with this because um, Brian Windhorst said that Harden's just kind of playing mind games to an extent. He's just trying to get what he wants out of Philly, I suppose. While Philly's like key beat writer said that Harden to Houston is pretty much already done. It's really hard to know which one's correct. But if you do think that it is correct that he is moving on, some talks have opened up about potentially getting Fred VanVleet. Now, I don't really know exactly how they pull this off. I'm gonna spend a little time here learning some more about the new CBA rules as well as what kind of cap space everybody has. I know the Sixers don't have a whole hell of a lot, but that's one of the things I'll focus on in the offseason is how much cap space and who's possible for what teams. But I don't know exactly how they'll pull it off, but that does excite me. I think it feels pretty damn possible. Fred was very, very complimentary of Nick Nurse, and I know Nick Nurse liked having Fred as his point guard. So while it would be a very small backcourt
I
between
was just going to say
Tyrese
that. I was
and
about to say that.
Fred, I think that he almost makes our team work a little better because we had Harden, who he would dribble the clock out anytime he could. I shouldn't say that. That's unfair. Harden was a good true point guard, but he also did a lot of ISO stuff. Really all of his buckets came off ISO. He never really caught and shot the ball or anything like that. So he
Except
was
when he hit
such
the game winner against the Celtics.
yeah, and that's some shit. But he was such a I hate to say it like this, but he was like a time waster on our offense. So like obviously kick it to Embiid as much as you possibly can, no matter who's on the floor for the Sixers. Embiid gets that ball as much as possible. But from there, I like the thought of like it just being free moving. And Fred will launch some threes, but I also think that doubling down on Embiid, he'll be open way more than he was in Toronto. So shoot away, but at the same time, I think our offense would be much more free flowing with Fred at point guard because he shared primary facilitating with Pascal Siakam all these years. So
And
he's
Lowry,
not a
too.
yeah, exactly, good call, and Kyle Lowry. So he's not opposed to uh not he doesn't need to be the primary such high usage point guard or anything like that. He can play within the offense. Obviously, it doesn't stop him from being aggressive. He'll still take his shots, but um Harden just there's so many possessions where we were just left with shit shots because Harden had dribbled for 19 seconds before we really started getting moving on our offense. And um, man, I'm just so tired of seeing that. And I am a little worried that we bring him back, but uh, I don't know. The talks about Fred VanVleet coming in have excited me a little bit, and just kind of ready to move on past the James Harden era. So hopefully Nick Nurse will be on board with that. Not that it's his call at the end of the day, but yeah, I kind of want what Nick Nurse wants rather than what James Harden wants at this point, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Right. So I've got a couple things. You made a lot of points there, and I've got a lot of
Okay.
points to go with it. So you mentioned the CBA. I've been doing a lot of research on that, and it is
Yeah, I
just put
know
it
you
this
have.
way, it's interesting. Um, and a lot of teams so it affects the Celtics a lot. I'm not going to go into that. We can go into the offseason, but the
Yeah.
Celtics are going to be making some moves this offseason when you think they wouldn't because they made so many moves to get this championship team. But they've got to clear some space because the CBA is really going to make things a lot harder for them. And the main teams that it really affects are the good teams. That's the main difference. But we'll get into that a lot more in the offseason for sure. But James Harden, I don't think there's a chance he stays, and this is why. His press conference or his interview or whatever after he scored 40 in game one was pretty much talking about how, yeah, I make sacrifices. Like, I can still do this. People talk like I can't do this. And then he didn't show up the rest of the series. I think he wants to go back to do that. I don't think he cares about winning anymore. I think he's realized that he's not going to win. He just wants to play basketball the way he wants to play basketball. And
Yeah. Maybe.
going to a bad team, it's going to at least sell tickets. Like, get him that. He'll be an all-star, still average 30 and 10 or something crazy.
Yeah.
It's not going to be fun basketball, and it's not winning basketball. It's proven
No.
time and time again.
Yeah. I was just about to say that exact quote. Yeah. We've seen
Mhm.
that time and time again. James Harden
Um,
basketball is just not winning basketball.
on the Fred VanVleet take, like I said, that it will make your front court very small. But when you have Embiid in the paint, it's not a huge deal. But I just like VanVleet's good, and who are you going to give up? Tobias, obviously, right? Because he's not a free agent, Fred VanVleet, right?
I think he's restricted.
Okay, then I thought he just got a contract. Maybe I'm thinking of Siakam. Maybe Siakam's the one who just got a contract. I swear I thought he did. If y'all can sign him, that'd be great. But it all depends. You're gonna have to clear up some space. That's for sure.
He has a player option for this upcoming season,
Mm,
so he could opt
okay,
out.
he
And
could
now
opt
that
out.
Nick has left, maybe he
He
will.
might follow.
So,
Yeah, he might go.
uh, a possibility there. Yeah, we would absolutely have to get rid of Tobias. And again, I'll break this all down a little further. This is an off-season project to learn a little bit more about each team's cap and what they need to do
Absolutely.
to get X player. But man, that's exciting to even think of a possibility. But this next era of Sixers basketball will be really intriguing because I won't be that surprised if we can't pull something like that off because we're going to be tight, man. It's going to, we're bound to be really, really tight. Money wise, we don't have really any assets. There's not many first round picks laying around. I don't believe we even have a pick in this upcoming draft. So,
Didn't you just
uh,
trade him for McDaniels?
yeah, I think so. Who played like 30 minutes the entire postseason. So just a complete waste of space, basically. But I don't know, just a
Yeah.
weird stuff. Doc refused to play young players with potential. So yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, second round pick, you still make that trade. It's not like it was a bad move. It just, I guess, executed poorly afterwards.
Yep. Um, I'm sure everyone listening saw the big news, but Sam Cassell was hired by the Boston Celtics today
That's
as an
interesting.
assistant coach, and I love it. So the Celtics have been. I know not many people care about assistant coaches, but small little backstory: when Ime Doku got suspended, Joe Mazzulla moved up to become the interim head coach. They never hired a replacement assistant for Joe. And then Damon Stoudemire left. Obviously, Will Hardy left too. And then all of Ime Udoka's staff is leaving to go play
Yeah.
with him, to coach with him in Houston. So it's like the Celtics are starting all over. So I think this offseason is massive for Joe Mazzulla because he's going to actually be able to coach his team now. It's going to be 100% his team. He has an offseason with his team because I think he became the interim head coach like 3 days before training camp started.
Isn't
Um,
that some shit?
isn't that crazy? So I think, and the Celtics have been saying, Brad came out and said that they're going to get someone with experience behind Joe Mazzulla. And I love Sam Cassell in the last 5 years has been interviewing for head coaching jobs. It's only a matter of time until he gets his head coaching position, I feel like. So I'm very excited. And he has NBA experience too, which Joe Mazzulla doesn't have. So I think that's going to be like playing as a player.
Yeah.
Um,
But
so
Missoula was a terrific college player with a career average of 4 points a game. So he does have
I
that, which is, well, I mean, four more points than myself. So
was about to
uh,
say, dude.
I'm only joking.
Yeah. No, I mean, I saw that. I saw it, and I was just so stoked. Sam Cassell. There was been rumors of them looking at him. There was rumors of them getting Frank Vogel, but he just got hired, right?
Yeah.
Phoenix.
Yeah. Isn't that some
We
shit?
should probably talk about that.
Ex Laker coach Frank Vogel gets hired over. Yeah, I liked him, dating back to the Pacer days. So
Pacers, yeah.
um I think it's a pretty interesting move. Uh I don't know exactly if I love it. We've seen him in, we've seen him coach okay teams to being good, I guess, but we've never really seen what he can do with a really good team and, see if they can make it over that mark. But, they gave him a shot. He's still,
He won a championship though with the Lakers.
damn, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, but I mean, I take that with a grain of salt because it was still LeBron James's team. It's like it's hard to say that. I don't think he's that good of a coach. I mean, he got fired one season after he won the championship, right? Or was it
Yeah.
2 seasons?
I think
Like
something, yeah, it was something like that.
it's just like I don't think he's that good of a coach. But it maybe I think one thing when you're coaching a team like the Suns or even the Lakers back then, you have to deal with all those personalities because when you're a star in the NBA, you have some personality. So I think if you can manage that, I think that is a very important job. of coaching, and that's why I started thinking Eric Spoelstra was a good coach back in the Big Three days, because he
Yeah.
did such a good job of doing that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's funny. I wanted to critique him a lot in that period of time, and then
yeah,
LeBron
same.
left, and then he went over to Cleveland, and David Blatt was the coach, and that's when it kind of started to hit me. It's like, oh shit, Spolster knew what the fuck he was doing. Obviously, now it's quite evident, but for when the Heat era was just kind of beginning, there was a lot of questions about Spolster, and I was questioning him pretty heavily myself, which obviously doesn't mean but so much, but uh, yeah, there was a lot of question marks, and he's just evolved into just a terrific coach.
Yeah, he is a great coach. I'm interested to see what with the Suns do. Like I said, I thought they were going to go a different way, but I think, like you said, dealing with all those veterans, probably getting a more established coach is better than someone who hasn't been a head coach before.
Yeah,
Looking at it that way, but
yeah, especially when you're that good. I mean, the Bucks went with Adrian Griffin, who I
mhm,
believe has never been a head coach. So I mean,
not that I
they
know
took a
of.
different route, which I don't hate that. A lot of
Where
guys
was
get
he assistant
recycled.
coach?
I don't remember actually off the
Me
top of
either.
my head. I'm not sure.
Should probably know
Um,
that.
Yeah, yeah, we should probably know that. That's all right. I don't know a ton about Adrian Griffin technically, but it's interesting to see teams make that bold move and go in that direction. It takes some balls to do that shit. And I'll tell you what, if Philly did that, that would not have been good after like how poorly they looked when they lost. If the Sixers went out and signed some, quote unquote nobody, that at least that casual Philly fans know of, like that city would have rioted. So I think the Sixers are smart in that aspect. Like we better make a splash this head coaching move, and they did, which is good. But I'm really excited to see what the Bucks can do with a lesser name head coach, I guess, or just a guy with getting his first experience. You got to start somewhere. So what better time than now? Then we'll get to see Frank Vogel, who's been recycled is pretty harsh, but recycled through some pretty decent teams. The Indiana team was a real a pretty good team, and then the Lakers they won, so they were pretty damn good. So um, interesting. They all seem to go in different directions. So we'll see how that works out.
Holy cow, the Heat are winning!
Yeah, I know, dude. This is a 7 point game.
Wow, I didn't even realize that. That's massive.
Yeah,
Um,
Jimmy just hit a three, and then he just got 2 free throws. So we're cooking, man. This we might actually it almost felt like the series was over after one game, but uh potentially premature. We'll see.
yeah. Still 6 minutes left though, so we'll see. We'll keep you listeners updated, even though while you're listening to this, you probably already know who wins.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I would imagine so.
Moving on, so we have less than a month till the NBA draft. So I think that the best way to cover the draft is we should just focus on picks, a few picks here and there. We will save. I think today we should just focus on the top three pick, which
Yeah,
mainly means 2 and 3,
yeah,
because we know what the first pick is. We can
yeah.
touch on it, but we will definitely have to save the fifth pick for Michael when he's here, so you guys can discuss that next week.
Sounds good.
Um, but so Wembanyama to the Spurs. Anything else you want to say about that?
What's left to be said?
It's been
Uh,
talked about it a lot already.
yeah,
So
we've been hearing about it for a while, and some unbelievable claims have been made about him. So yeah, obviously a no brainer, number one.
yeah, alrighty. Now where the draft really begins is at 2.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and people talking about it. Charlotte with the second pick. You think they go? It seems like it's either Scoot or Brandon Miller, right?
Yeah, I think the top three, as much as I've read, seem to be in a tier, not necessarily by themselves, but they seem to be the pretty consensus top three here.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I guess two and three. So pretty much anywhere I've looked, mock drafts, prospect profiles and stuff like that, they seem to be almost definite 2 and 3. And I'm actually on board with take the best player available. Now, I
Absolutely.
can't sit here and say I've watched a ton of Scoot, so who am I to say? But I think Charlotte needs to take Scoot instead of Brandon. I mean that his athleticism is just so different, man. We haven't seen many guys quite like this. He's an incredible prospect, and a lot of theorized that if he wasn't in the same draft as Wemby, that he would be the massive,
Yeah,
easily
absolutely,
number one prospect. So,
absolutely.
um, I think Charlotte should go in that direction. Although I know that kind of messes with their backcourt. But what was Melo doing? Obviously, they want to build around him. Make him face of the franchise. But he wasn't winning or anything like that. Like you don't not take the best player available for LaMelo, in my opinion.
I
But
agree.
we'll see.
I mean,
We'll see. I also, I wouldn't be tremendously surprised if they took Miller, but I personally think they should go in Scoot's direction.
I think a couple of things to think about here. What's Bridges going to be? So I think he's going to play from everything I understand.
Great question.
So, and he's a 3-4
Yeah,
for them, and Brandon Miller is 3. I think I said it's so hard to look at the worst few teams, like worst few picks, all the way, like even from this, maybe not so much the Spurs, but it's like Charlotte, like a Melo Ball was hurt so much, like so many
yeah,
teams tanked, so their best players
yeah.
just didn't play. So you don't know what they look like when their best players actually play, because
That's
they
a
might.
fucking fact.
So it's so hard to take what you could see. I think Brandon Miller is more likely to make a difference right off the bat, more so than Scoot. I think Scoot has more star potential for sure than Brandon Miller. I mean, they said, like you said, everyone has been saying if it wasn't for Wemby, he would be like the best player coming out in a few years per
Yeah,
se. So, but at the same time, he is still, what is he, 6'2", 6'3"?
yeah. He's fairly undersized. He,
So
jump shot's not great. So
he also has some bust potential. Like I said, undersized and not a great shooter right now. So
yeah,
I think Miller is a safer pick, but it also, like I said, there's so many variables when it comes to what Charlotte's going to do, like with Bridges, if they want to move on from Ball, because I mean, they haven't signed Ball yet, and this is his contract here, right?
I think so.
So maybe they go Scoot and see what they get out of him, and then that'll determine whether they want to sign Ball or trade him at the deadline.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. Make me a GM. I got it.
There you go. There you go.
Um,
Have you heard about the Thompson twins though?
I'm on
Amon and Asor, I
a
believe.
sore, yeah.
Uh, these two
I've
are
heard a lot.
both projected top 10 picks as twins. How fucking awesome is that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I
I
can't
said,
wait to see how that unravels. And if you're the team that drafts, yeah, it seems like Amen is going to go first. I hope
mhm.
that's how you say it. It seems like he's going to go first between the two twins. But how cool would it be if the team that took him traded up and took his brother? And I've watched a good amount of YouTube clips about with these guys. And how fun would it be to build around these two at the same time, twin brothers? So uh, that that
It
is
reminds me. Do you remember the Sedin twins for the Canucks?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you threw me
Uh,
off. Yeah, we're
Yeah, sorry,
started
moving to hockey a little bit.
started
That's what makes
talking
me think of
hockey
because
there for a second.
yeah,
Yeah,
because I think that's
absolutely.
what they did. Because they traded up. They drafted Henrik, I think, and then Daniels are the other one.
Yeah, I believe so.
And then
Good
they
call.
traded
Look
up to
at
get
you.
him.
Look at you breaking out the hockey
That's
knowledge.
right,
I
dude.
love it. I had to sit here and think for a moment. I was like, hold on, what the fuck is he
Yeah,
talking
we're
about? And you
good.
said Canucks.
I
I was like,
I
oh,
played
okay.
a lot of NHL, the video game. So I'm
There
sad.
you go.
I pretty much just exclusively have watched Bruins games, but then I played the game. So
There you go.
um, moving on to Portland, I personally think they're going to trade the pick, but it's still hard to say. I mean, I feel like that's not something we're going to know until day of. That'll be a crazy day of trade. And the only
Yeah.
person out there you think that would be the move is Siakam. Like, and I don't think them getting Siakam makes him that much better, personally.
Not really. I'm not sure he's worth the third overall pick, but
I agree.
I can see from Dame's perspective / front office perspective, you don't really want to put so much of your stock into a 19-year-old to hope that they develop quickly because how much more time do they have? Tough to say. So yeah, trading out of that spot definitely does seem like the best move for them. Keep Dame, run it back. Uh, I mean, you can get something massive for the third pick. So,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
go kick some tires around the league. Go see what you can pull off for this third pick.
Someone, a buddy of mine, mentioned to me, he said Anthony Simon's in the third pick for Jalen Brown. And I'm just like, no. The last thing the Celtics need is another point guard.
Yeah, you guys should bring in Scoot to the Brogdon, Smart,
Yeah,
and White
like
room.
what? They would get Anthony Simons, and then if Charlotte, like you said, goes Miller, and they have Scoot. So it's like they have like a starting lineup of point guards. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, pretty much.
Um, I I I mean, I feel like the Damian Lillard for Jalen Brown trade has been talked about a lot. And if Portland did that, they would keep their pick. So I think that could be something potentially interesting. Um, I would be all for it. I don't want it to happen by any means, but if there was a trade out there for Jalen Brown, that still makes the Celtics win now.
Yeah,
And that's what the Celtics need to do. They're not going to want to they don't want picks. It's the last thing they want is picks. They want a star. So if it seems like Portland seems like they still want Dame, rightfully so.
seems
He's
like it.
great.
Pretty good player.
And he's loyal. I mean, he seems like a stand-up guy. He can rap, what else do you want in a basketball player?
That's right.
Um, but I think the Portland pick is very interesting. I mean, obviously I think Miller makes a lot of sense there, but let's say Miller gets drafted by Charlotte and Scoots there. It's like maybe that's when they look to move on from Lillard and rebuild.
Yeah, then their ass is on the clock quick, and you better
Yeah.
figure something out very, very fast. So
Brad Stevens will be there ready.
yeah, I'm sure he
If
will.
I'm going to talk about the Celtics offseason briefly here. They will trade either Marcus Smart or Brogdon this offseason. Don't know which one, but one of them is gone. And
Who would you prefer to be gone?
I prefer Smart to be gone. I want Derek White to play point guard, have the ball in his hand more so.
Yeah.
And I like Brogdon still coming off the bench. And it's mainly just because I'm sick of the Marcus Smart roller coaster that I've been
And
watching
what a
for
roller coaster
9
it is.
seasons. Great defense, flops every chance he can. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Shoot shots. I tell you what I want. I want the Celtics to start Peyton Pritchard at point guard because he's undersized, but he is a workhorse and he can shoot threes, and that's what you want. Marcus Smart cannot knock down the three consistently. So if you put Peyton Pritchard, he's a 40% 3-point shooter.
Yeah, we
Wow, we have a game.
yeah, we have ourselves a game. There's 1 minute left in this Heat in Denver game. Let's take a pause.
So producer Alex about to work his magic. We did pause for a little bit there to see some of this basketball game. So shout out producer Alex, always has our back. Eye in the sky, baby.
There you go.
All righty, Dolan, you ready to do a little bit of this or that?
Yeah, man. Let's get it going.
You want me to go first? Or you want to go first?
Yeah, you have 2, I have 1, so you'll be my the bread to my sandwich.
All right, let's do it. I had to really think about that one for a second.
You look stumped when I said that.
I like this one a lot. I thought about this one the other day. Who would you rather have on your roster right now? Jalen Brunson or Mikal Bridges?
Tough. I like this a lot. This is a really good one. Give me Jalen Brunson, man. This is not an easy question, but I liked what I saw out of Brunson in the playoffs. Not to knock on Bridges. I mean, he was really good, and even in the games he struggled to score. We officially have Miami win. Wow, they won game 2. Good on them.
Dang,
Holy shit, that's crazy. Good on Miami. They won game 2.
Brunson.
Sorry, that was intense to see. Yeah. So Jalen Brunson was just so damn good in this postseason, and he carried the team pretty much. Randall was so spotty in the whole postseason, basically his entire postseason career. I was very impressed by Bridges this season. When they traded him, I had no idea that he was capable of doing what he ended up doing. So big tip of my cap to him. But I got to go Brunson, man. This dude looks like he could be a true number 1 scorer, whereas Mikal Bridges was pushed into a number 1 role. And while I think he exceeded expectations, I'm still not sure that's the role for him, where I feel like Brunson might be able to fill those shoes and pull it off. So I'm going to take Brunson pretty comfortably, but it is a good debate.
I think that there's two things. Each player is elite at something. I think Jalen Brunson is just elite at being a leader. He's an elite leader. It's proven time and time again, or time and time, happened twice.
Yeah.
But he's one of those players. Like he can will his team. He leads his team, and he hits big shots when he needs to. But he's also pretty weak defender. On Bridges is an elite defender,
It's true.
and
Very, very, very true.
I think that Brunson makes his team better. Bridges is not quite there yet, where he is making his teammates and players better. Obviously, he has so much potential to be there. I think I'm going to go Bridges. I think his ceiling is much
Okay.
higher. I think his
Interesting.
ceiling's much higher than what Brunson's is, and we only just had a taste of what Bridges is a number one. And he seems like someone who's kind of reminds me of like a Jalen Brown type, where he's going to continue to work and continue to get better every single year in the league.
Yeah.
Um,
And he's going to play too.
and that's absolutely true. So I'm gonna go Bridges here. Like I said, I think right now Brunson is the better option, but I like Bridges' ceiling a lot better than Brunson, so I'll go Bridges there.
Yeah. Good deal. I'm going to change perspective a little bit for mine. I'm going to put you in the seat of a GM.
Love that. I'm pretty
You
much
know,
a GM already, so that
yeah,
works
yeah,
for me.
that's a fact. That's a fact. Ignore, your Celtic fandom. That doesn't necessarily have anything to do with this though. But if you're a GM and you got a pretty decent team, you got a borderline, postseason team, but you're not like a guaranteed spot. Who would you rather sign? Throw away any rumors that you've heard. James Harden or Kyrie Irving?
Oh Lord, that's a good one.
Oh Lord.
So it's to me now that I'm thinking about it, it's pretty. I gotta go Kyrie. At least he's a proven winner, um, and I think that's. He obviously has some off the court stuff, but at least he I don't know. It's so hard. I'm still gonna go Kyrie, but I mean, he also can get suspended by tweeting something ridiculous too. So you never know what's gonna happen there. But I'm gonna give. I think Kyrie's all his drama and stuff is behind him now. Giving him benefit of doubt on that. I think
Yeah,
he's.
yeah. We'll see.
I'm hopefully he's done and just kind of shuts his mouth, but we'll see. Um, he's just a phenomenal basketball player. Obviously, James Harden is too, but James Harden is proven to not be a winner, and Kyrie Irving hasn't proved to be a winner on the best team. But I think he's more fit for it than James Harden is.
That's fair. Yeah. The more I thought about this question, the more I liked it as a question. I think it puts you in a
Yeah,
super interesting
absolutely.
spot. And I too, I would prefer to disagree, but I just can't, especially as a Sixer fan. Uh, I would love to disagree, but I'm going to go Kyrie with you. Um, I think the biggest concern, I guess the biggest counter argument is Harden plays. At least we don't really know what we're going to get out of Kyrie, which is quite scary, of course. But um, yeah, he's just so good, man. He's just so damn good. It's
He is
unbelievable to
good.
watch this man on the floor. I thought he did okay with the Mavericks. They need a lot more time to gel. We can't quite judge off of the 25, 30 games that they played together. So, um, but I think we've seen him win a ring, and we've seen him hit huge shots to win that ring, whereas we've seen Harden ignore the rim in the fourth quarter of big games himself. So I think that's kind of where you got to draw the line and just say, yeah, I got to go Kyrie, even though it's horrifying, but both are horrifying options.
As I was saying Kyrie Irving, I almost was like really started to change my mind there because of all of the like off court stuff. And then I started thinking about the Celtics days when Kyrie Irving was the best player on the team and could not win when it
Yeah,
mattered being the best
that's true.
player.
That is true.
Um, but like I said, I still got to go. Yeah, James Harden puts a bitter taste in my mouth. So does Kyrie Irving. So this is definitely a tough one.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt.
Um, Good one. Alrighty, mine. I think actually my next one's probably on the surface is pretty easy, but I think we probably wind up disagreeing. And I saved this one
Nice.
specifically for Michael not being here,
Okay.
because I know what his answer would be, and I don't want to hear it, frankly. Um, which one of these franchises has a better future, Pistons or Magic?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I wanted to make this known. I said this before Monty Williams was hired. I picked this as a thing, so I think that does
Okay,
throw a little curveball in it, but
a
I still
little
think
bit.
it's good.
Yeah, that one has me pondering for sure. Um, I'm gonna go Magic, man. I think this team is like they're like 10 deep of legit um, prospects slash players. I mean, some of these guys are still so young; we don't know exactly what they'll develop into. But like even Wagner has massive potential. His brother's pretty damn good as a backup center. Wendell Carter Jr. at center is uh, I think he's a little inconsistent, but he's also he's not bad. He's a double machine. Um, I think he's a terrific player. Obviously, Banchero is kind of the prize there. They still have Jalen Suggs, who was just a fifth overall pick, and Markel Fultz, who this kind of seemed like his first year where he was, I'll say, quote unquote, back. I still don't think he's what Philly thought they were drafting. At least with his level of play yet. But I mean, he played great this year. I mean, all things considered, he had a pretty severe nerve issue and got through that, and I'm happy for him. He's going to be an awesome piece for them. Obviously, behind them they have Cole Anthony. The list goes on. This is a deep team of young guys, and then they have Gary Harris, who I'm sure will be shipped off at some point. But I still like them. He keeps them kind of disciplined on defense. He can knock down some shots. A nice veteran presence. Believe they still have Jonathan Isaac. They don't have
Yeah,
Bamba anymore, but they have Bol. So there's just
Bowl.
so
Yeah, he
much
has
length.
potential.
Yeah, there's so much length. There's so much versatility. Um, so much youth. They have their guy. They have their face for sure with Banchero.
Paolo.
Whereas,
Yeah.
um, we'll see with Detroit. I mean, you would like to say that Cade is that guy, and he very well might be. But I don't know if we know that the way we know that Banchero is. So, Orlando Magic.
Yeah. I just can't wait for Michael to listen to this and he hears
Yeah.
both of us say magic because that's
Yeah.
just, I'm so excited about that. I mean, I pretty much agree with you. I think that if we knew a little more what Cade was, then it would be hard. But I'm obviously you said all this, the entire Magic roster pretty much, so I'm not going to do that. Um, it comes down at last podcast. I mentioned how I think Banchero will be the best player out of the last 5 drafts, or at least best number one overall pick. And Cade was on that list. So it's like, I think I like Banchero. I think he's going to be a very, very good player. Go Duke, right, Dolan?
No.
I like what the Magic's doing. I like Cole Anthony. I don't think he's going to be a star, but I think he's the literally perfect point guard off the bench, where it helps initiate offense and be that player you need off the bench. And I said, I like where they're going. I think they have the 8th pick. Do you know?
I don't actually. I was thinking about that a second ago. I meant to look it up. I'll keep
Look
going.
it
I
up.
got
Yeah, I'll
you.
keep going. And then, like I mentioned earlier on a different topic, but we don't know what the Pistons are because of their tanking. So it just
Yeah.
makes it a little bit harder to gauge what their talent level is. Ivy did look great. 6th pick.
Yeah, Orlando's
Oh,
6, so they're right behind
all
Detroit.
right.
So
They'll
they're going to
probably
be
get one of the twins,
yeah,
I
perhaps.
guess.
Very possible. Very
Um,
possible.
but I do, I say I'm going to go Magic. I do like I like Paolo a lot. Like I said, he's potential is through the roof, and I think he's just gonna. I mentioned it. I think he has potential to be a face of the NBA, not just of the franchise, like of the NBA. So
That's wild.
I like him a lot. And like I said, we don't know what the Pistons are. That we saw like glances of some really good basketball, and then they also only won 19 games.
Yeah, it
So
was terrible.
when your win starts with a 1, that's pretty bad when your win total. So
Yeah, and
um,
it's hard to bounce back after that, man. It's hard to develop that winning mentality and uh yeah, been there, seen that. I've
true
watched
that.
10-win seasons, so it's hard, man. It's very, very difficult to play that way and try to suddenly turn it around. It's just it's definitely not that easy.
Yeah, I agree. I fortunately have only watched winning basketball the last few years, so I don't
All
really
right,
know.
you can shut up.
Hey, you have winning basketball right now, so
Somewhat.
somewhat.
I've watched a few wins. That's about all I got.
Yeah, true
Regular
that.
season wins.
True. All right, man. You got anything else?
I think I am all set.
Quite the podcast. Missed you, Michael. You can follow Michael at Carefree Willis on Twitter. Go tweet at him, tell him how much he sucks for being at the beach and not being here.
Amen.
Where can they find you at, Dolan?
At Ryan Props with Z at the end.
With the Z. You can find me on Twitter at Delbond00. Thank you guys so much for listening. I won't be here next week, but they will see you next week.
There you go.
Later.